The following show and its content are the responsibility of the show's producers and participants.
Information related in this program is not meant to substitute medical recommendations. Before starting a treatment program, you should consult your physician.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Welcome to the Couch Live here on WPSN99.com. Hello, everybody, right here on the Problem Solving Network, thanks to Surf Monkey Media. We're over here at the Surf Monkey Media Studios here in New Smyrna Beach. Hope everybody's enjoying themselves. It's a beautiful Friday, as always. We have with you a little cast of friends. Now, Robbie couldn't be here. The Grasshopper's got some biology to do. So the Grasshopper's not here with me, but as always, of course, the Dharma Guy, Trinity Phillips.
What's
Hello,
going on?
Trinity. How are you doing, sir?
I am swell.
Swell.
I'm swell.
Swell's the word of the day?
I think so.
Okay, I'll take it, I guess. Swell is the word of the day. And over there to your left, my right, we have Jack Levine in here with us, author and good friend of ours, Jack Levine. How are you, Jack?
I'm swell. I'm swelling up with joy. I'm harping on the word of the day, baby.
Wait, you're going to use swell too?
I'm
like
just going to borrow it.
I like it.
It's a good word.
All right, we're swell all around then.
Right.
Nobody uses the word swell anymore.
Why would they?
No, it's like from Andy Griffith. It's like from Mayberry.
Well,
It's ancient,
golly.
but it needs to come back.
I agree.
Swell. There's a
That's a
return of
swell
swell.
idea.
We got to bring swell back. Is that what, bring the swell back?
Let's bring
Swell
all
idea.
the old jargon back, man. Let's bring swell back. Let's bring
boy.
you jive talking turkey.
Oh, now we could bring back just the
boy.
good old days.
That's right,
White
man.
picket fences and
We make America great again. Is that what you're trying to
apple
say?
pie. I think so.
Oh boy, you guys are taking it far. But all right, so we're here today, and you know, if you listen to the show, you know, this is a show that focuses on addiction and recovery and everything in between. And obviously, we get sidetracked and start talking about all different kinds of things. I am the street certified dope Dr. Louis Delgado, and also thanks to Aquarius 7 Broadcasting Network, we're on a couple of their stations, including Rock100DIZ.com and WJHM102Jams.com. And special thanks, all of this is brought to you because of our good sponsors. The reasons we do not have to take any commercial breaks during this entire program is because of good sponsors like Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Centers and Journey Pure. Those are the two main sponsors. And of course, the Now Matters More Foundation is a you know, they don't give us any sponsorship money or something like that.
No.
They sponsor us in love because, you know, Trinity is the president and I'm the founder, so of course the Now Matters More Foundation is. And you sit on the
He's on the board.
advisory committee.
That's right.
And then
Privilege.
so you know, of course they're on the banner. And then of course Orange County Drug Free Office, Orange County here in Florida, not Orange County, California.
That's right.
Orange County in Florida.
The good Orange County.
Is that? Oh boy!
Oh, wow.
No, I'm not.
The views and opinions
I said
expressed by
Yeah, that's that guy right there. That guy right there. But anyway, so Orange County Drug Free Office and all the good people over there. So let's get into it. So Jack, you've been our good friend for a while now, and you have a pretty interesting career and real interesting career to me because it's like, you know, he's almost as. I almost have to ask him what he does as much as he probably has to ask me what I do.
Well, I remember when I was the one when you and I were building the Now Matters More Foundation's website, and we were trying to get everybody's biographies and stories and things of that nature.
Was he difficult?
He had like 8 different emails, a couple different websites, and I was just like, all right, what am I supposed to use here?
Yeah, well, when
He's
you're
a jack of all trades.
Oh, okay.
Look at
well,
that.
well, when you're in the witness protection program,
Exactly.
Swell.
you know, that's the way you roll.
Yeah, I see that.
You know?
That's right.
So it's very questionable, Jack. So tell us a little bit about Mr. Levine. Are we going to get the truth?
The whole truth, nothing but the truth.
So help you.
So help me God.
No?
Are we getting the truth or a
Right.
truth?
Exactly. All
We're
right. Go ahead, Jack. Tell us a little bit about You.
Very quickly, a Madison Avenue guy, advertising marketing guy at a college, and very entrepreneurial. Been involved in a lot of different businesses in renewable energy and food distribution, publishing, author, speaker, preacher every once in a while too. That's a good thing. Right. And still involved in business today and real estate development and investments. And I love the different things coming at me. I don't think I could do the same job every day. Nothing wrong with being a mailman or a postman or a banker, but that's not for me. I like the excitement of different deals, different things. So life's been exciting. It's been a great ride.
Right. And where do you put most of your energy right now, Jack?
My energy right now is in writing some more books and in marketing and advertising. I do a lot of marketing and advertising, coaching for companies and individuals and businesses. Right. And I take a lot of enjoyment in dealing with different people and different things.
Very cool.
Does it pretty nice. Let me see that book real quick, Jack. Let me show it to the people that'll watch this on the YouTube channel.
I love this one.
All right. This is My Attic, Your Attic. It's a really good book. I've had this book for a while.
Yeah, I've written 7 books.
Look at
that's
them.
the.
I don't know how to do this.
That's the one on addiction.
And so there's for the Facebook Live people. That's
there you go.
Right there. You can pick it up. Where can they pick up this book?
It's on Amazon. That's the easiest way. And Louis, if your listeners and readers today want a copy, I think we should give them a free electronic copy.
Oh, right
just
on.
For contacting the station, however you want them to contact you. Right. We will send them an electronic version that they can have for free and start reading it tonight, and hopefully it will help and bless them.
Look at that. Providing value.
So if you want a copy of My Attic, Your Attic today, reach out to us.
That's right.
Either reach out to us here on Facebook Live if you're listening at WPSN99.com. Reach out to us or put the link. We'll put the link on Facebook
We'll put the link.
as well.
We'll put the link up tonight.
I like it.
Or email us.
Very
Whatever
nice.
you want.
Wow.
Great.
Look at that.
Offering swag. I like it.
Yes.
Free is my favorite F word.
It's a good way to get people to like you. This way, if they don't like what you say, at least they say, hey, he gave me a book. Maybe
there you go.
Yeah, it can't be that bad.
Yeah, it can't be that bad.
Sure.
Yeah, he didn't make me pay for it.
Right.
Yeah.
And like I said, free is my favorite F word. Is that okay, John?
It's okay with me.
All right, good.
It's okay. And it's a life-changing book. It's a book I believe in. It's a topic I believe in. It's something that we really want to impact people's lives with. So
okay,
get the book.
So let's talk about some of the things that you do and believe in, because Jack, here's what comes up a lot. Obviously, the Dharma Guy is the Dharma Guy.
Yes.
Right? Why? Because Trinity's Buddhist.
Amen.
Right? So it makes sense. He talks about spiritual principles, talks about spirituality, talks about compassion to others and stuff like that.
Wonderful qualities.
And
Thank
I know.
you, Jack.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's fallen in love with you right here, right
I
now.
like it.
So obviously, like you said, those are great qualities. What gets a bad rap a lot of times in early recovery is people going back to the whatever faith they had, maybe coming into the world. So a lot of people were raised a certain way. Like I was raised Catholic, but after recovery, I didn't go back to Catholicism. You know what I mean? But so there's a lot of people in the rooms that would joke around and say, "I'm a recovering Catholic."
Right.
You know, and it's almost like a joke, and people laugh. But if I was still Catholic, I think I'd find it offensive. Because I kind of still find it offensive, even though I'm not Catholic anymore. You know what I'm saying? So people say I'm a grateful recovering Catholic. Almost like that was my problem or that is a problem kind of deal.
Sure.
So, and obviously Levine is not your normal Christian name.
It's a Jewish name.
Yeah, it's a Jewish name.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
So I'm going to assume.
Right.
No, not really assume. We've had this conversation.
Right.
You were once Jewish.
Yes, I actually
or you are Jewish.
Still am.
Okay. Because I always forget, it's Jewish. A religion and a people, or
I think it's a people, right?
I don't know. I just know I was born Jewish. I feel as Jewish as I am white. It's something you couldn't take away from me if you wanted to.
Right.
However, I have added, my personal relationship with God on top of that. If you ask me one word to describe myself, I would say Christian, because I believe in Jesus Christ. Right. But it's not about religion.
Right.
I have no use for religion or organized religion. I have no use for rules and regulations that man made up. I only have use for what God himself said. And God is a God of love, peace, mercy, joy, forgiveness, long-suffering, and many of the qualities in other religions and beliefs are wonderful.
Right.
They're God-like qualities. Buddhism is a wonderful way of life. Now there's a difference. The 10-second version, I'll just say it once.
Okay.
The difference is that in Christianity, believers of Jesus Christ believe that when you die, you go to heaven and you're going to be with Jesus and God forever and ever.
Okay.
That is the difference between Christianity and many other religions. And people say, well, how can you prove it? How do you know it's real? Right. And I say, well, Jesus promises if you believe in him, the Holy Spirit will come inside your heart. He himself will reveal himself to you. Now, I think I'm a reasonably intelligent guy, Louis.
Right.
If it was a scam, it would have taken me 6 months or a year to figure it out. It's been 30 years. It keeps getting better and better. So that's been my experience. And nobody ever told me about God. Nobody said, go to church. God himself knocked on my heart. I responded. That was 30 years ago. But I will never never tell anybody what to believe or how to live, because you couldn't have told me 30 years ago, you need to believe in this. I would have said it's a load of crap. You believe what you want. I'll believe what I want. Don't tell me what baseball team to root for, what politician to vote for. You live your life. I live mine. So had I not experienced it myself, I wouldn't believe it. But the last thing I'm going to do is ram it down anybody's throat. So that's a very individual decision for people to make. But when it comes to addiction, there's one decision to make, and that's, get help and get recovery, and there is hope in that regard.
Now, that's one of the assumptions that people make, is that Christians try to ram it down your throat.
Some do.
Right. So obviously you say that because you know that is one of the things that people have an issue with.
And many religions. I mean, Christians certainly. Now, again, there's well,
you're not knocking on my door, and I don't mind them knocking on my door either. Listen, I'm cool with them too.
I mean, isn't that technically one of the prerequisites, though, is to witness to others, is to quote?
That's why it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me if a witness knocks on my door. They're doing what they feel like they have to do.
So, somebody said to me once, do you know how many murders Christians are responsible for? Mm-hmm. And a guy I was having lunch with, a Jewish lawyer, and I said, no. And then I went back and looked and saw all this history, and I said, well, wait a minute, but my definition of Christianity is someone who has a relationship with Jesus Christ, not these denominations, not Catholic, Baptist, Protestant, all these subsectors. Okay. And they do have, their own rules and regulations, and they're man-made, they're made up. So to me, at the end of the day, it's, what did God say? God said, love each other as you love yourself, and love God. Mm-hmm. You do that and you'll be fine.
Now, are they made up based on which Bible they're using? I mean, because it sounds like there's one Bible, but then it seems like everybody's reading the same book and calling it something else, because there's different versions of that Bible, are there not?
Not to pick on the Catholic religion, and I'll throw in the
Here we go, attacking the Catholics again.
Here it comes.
Just said not to pick. Does that mean you're picking on them when you say I'm not doing it?
That's almost like
it's a tell in poker.
Believe me.
That's like when somebody says, I mean this with all due respect.
Yeah. I don't mean to be offensive.
It doesn't apply to you, just everybody like you.
Right. Right. Remember, my parents are still Catholic. And all the other Latinos I'm still related to.
Well, then let me share this and piss as many people off as possible in one shot.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. Nowhere in the Bible does it say Hail Marys and you'll be forgiven. It doesn't exist.
You're allowed to kill it as a Catholic. That's kind of what made it kind of attractive.
And so there's rules and regulations that the church, not just the Catholic Church now, the temple and other churches and denominations have created their own rules and regulations.
Right.
And they're just not from God. Yeah. I mean, they're not God's word. So no wonder people get frustrated and pissed off and say, you're ramming this down my throat. That's exactly what happens. I know many good people, many people in recovery and addiction who've run away from God because their experience was with a particular denomination, and they were told, this is what you have to do, and this is what you better do, and if you don't, you're going to go to hell. And it's just not true. Right. It's not true. And it's unfortunate. It's a misinformation.
But how many different versions are there to that same Bible that you're referencing? And which Bible should?
How many different teams are there in the NFL?
32.
They're all football teams. They all play by the same rules.
Right,
but yet they all have a different look and makeup.
But they're all playing football. They all do the same rules.
Well, but the problem is all these people are playing religion, and it's not about religion. People shouldn't play religion.
But they have different rules.
But God doesn't have a rule. God wants
but that's what I'm saying. So which is the rule book? Because there's no NFL.
Okay.
Right? Who's the NFL in religion?
I would say the Bible, Old Testament combined with New, is but that's my definition. Somebody else might not say that, but I would say that's the most accepted definition.
Right.
Is the Bible is the rule book. However, people pervert the word of God. That they take stuff out of context.
Right.
And if I say, Louis, you're terrible.
Right.
But the sentence was, Louis, you're terrible in chess, but you're the greatest addiction coach in the world. But if I just took out the line, Louis, you're terrible, well, that I did say it, but you took it out of context. That's not what I meant.
Obviously, you've worked in marketing and
you think?
And you've worked in media.
Well, we do that.
All I heard was he thinks you're terrible.
Yep.
That's all I heard.
Truth is out.
Yeah, because if your last name is Trump or Clinton, that happens to you on a regular basis. If you say you're terrible, you better you better get that whole quote somewhere, because someone's going to just take the "you're terrible" part.
Yep.
But the simplest part is think of a father and a mother who truly love their children. Let's assume they do.
Right.
And all they want to do is bless them and do what's the best for them.
Right.
And if you can look at God as your father who just loves you and wants to bless you, then you get a concept of what a loving God is. Not rules and regulations, not looking for you to mess up so he could punish you. Quite the opposite. Anybody who has kids understand everything you do is for their blessing and benefit, whether they know it or not. And that's the God that I know.
All right, we're talking to Jack Levine. His latest book is My Addict, Your Addict. And you say you're writing another book.
I am.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about that.
This one's called "Keep the Train Rolling." It's
Interesting.
Wait a minute, that's our little thing with each other for a long time. So do I get a little point on that book?
You get a point, brother. You get a point. It's a motivational book. It's about life and being a train, and it's coming out soon. That one will be out beginning of 2018.
Come on, ride the train.
Nice.
That's right. That's right. So ride that train.
I love
and
it.
enjoy the ride. That's the main theme of the book. It'd be a shame to be on a train and be on the ride and not enjoy it.
A side note, a real quick shout out to Sean Fisher. He knows who he is. Sean Fisher is the one that actually wrote that music for the 69 Boys, and he didn't get his well-due deserved money.
Right.
The music business is a very interesting business, and sometimes when you sign something over, you have no idea it's going to be such a hit, and didn't get what he should have got on it. But Sean Fisher, he's a man. Look him up.
So what's your guys' experience with faith in recovery? I mean, Louis, you've been in for years.
I think it's absolutely necessary. I think here's the deal, Jack, and this is why I wanted to talk about it with you today. I think that some sort of belief outside yourself is absolutely necessary when you're in such a deep pit of a hole, especially. I don't believe. You know how they say there's no atheists in foxholes. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say it just a little bit different. I don't think there's anyone in a foxhole that's not willing to look outside themselves for a little bit of help at that moment, unless they've truly given up on life. For that individual, that is, if you learned helplessness in the rat. If you ever seen the rat studies with the rat, I mean, you could take the walls out, but once that rat has decided there's no way out of this maze, you can remove the wall and the rat still doesn't move. There's a thing called learned helplessness where they're no matter what. How much you try to entice them to get out of that little square, they're not leaving. They've learned helplessness. There's no way out. I'm dying here. I gave up. And there's individuals that are human that are just like that.
Sure.
So for them, that's different. But there's a lot of people in foxholes, deep within addiction, deep within depression, whatever it be, financial ruin, relationship craziness, that could use to look outside themselves a little, to believe in something greater than themselves, to believe in something greater than another human, than to believe into everything they've ever believed in, because right now none of that seems to be working. So the practice in believing outside yourself, I think, is very important for those moments. And we have to assume that all of us at some point in our life have these moments. So I think it's absolutely necessary. Now, whether I believe each individual one, whether it's Christianity, whether it's Buddhism, whether it's Catholicism or anything, or Judaism, I think all of them have value, and that's why I don't belong to any of them. Because as a counselor real early on, I learned a couple of things. Number one, because I started practicing so young within my recovery, within 2 years of sobriety, I was already kind of in a treatment center, So it kind of grew kind of with it in those tech years. So in my head, it was like, I knew I had to believe outside myself. Catholicism I didn't feel was for me because I was so oppositionally defiant towards structure and oversight, and there's a lot of structure and oversight, right? So that was a real difficult sell to somebody who was feeling, if you go into the psyche part, feeling guilty about it. But if you would ask me, I didn't feel guilty about it. I just didn't like structure and oversight, right? But it's probably a mixture of both. But so that wasn't for me. However, just believing in a lot of the things that Native Americans believed in, they made it really simple. I almost had to dummy it down, like I had to dummy down a lot of things. Sun, moon, earth, respect of body, respect of Mother Nature, respect of those around you. And that made it real simple to qualify. I could do that. I could learn to do that without a lot of reservation. However, I think other people, and I really do believe this, Jack, I think other people may need to go back to their faith of origin to really make it in their recovery. I think some people, it's so deeply rooted early on in life, and they did walk away due to guilt or shame or something like that, rather than a real simplistic way that I may have walked away. But I think some people are really angry with the God of their understanding. And so I think for them, forgiveness to that God of their understanding and maybe getting back into, if not their faith, something maybe close to it, I think is probably vital.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And Trinity, before we hear from you, I just want to add that this book is not a God book. My Addict, Your Addict.
Correct.
It's not a book that tells you believe in Jesus and that's how you're going to get healed. That is certainly one way,
right.
But it's an addiction book. It's about recovery, and there are many ways to recover with or without God. I
right.
mean, I would hope you choose the God way, but there's many ways. Trinity,
right.
Your thoughts?
Right.
Wow. Yeah, I don't even know where to begin on some of this. I've avoided these types of discussions for so long because I've usually ended up offending somebody or whatever. So I've tried to.
I did that up front.
Yeah,
so I took care of that for everybody. So now it's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I mean,
you already offended a couple people.
Yeah,
and I did too, because I said something about you're allowed to kill.
There you go. No, I mean, I was raised Christian, and for at a certain point in my life, that just stopped answering questions for me. Mine was more, I like to think, anyways, it was more of an intellectual thing. I had a problem with the lack of proof, the lack of evidence. And so I just kind of turned away from it. And I went through a period of my life where I was kind of an anti-theist, right? So it's interesting that you said you hated the word religion and whatever. I kind of went that route for a while. And then I don't know, I just got to kind of a low point where I needed to kind of figure out a different way. And so that's when I came across Buddhism. I treat Buddhism as more of a philosophy, not a religion. Some people refer to it as a religion. I have a laundry list of reasons why I don't feel it qualifies as one. But for me, it kind of answered the quote-unquote higher power. And that's where when I run groups and I talk to individuals, I have the unique ability to relate to that person who's coming in who is anti-AA or NA because the higher power, the undertone of God, essentially. And the way I usually explain it to them is view a higher power not as this mystical being, but view a higher power as merely something that when you're of sound mind, that you agree with, that you feel that is the way you would like to portray yourself. Because you can't really trust your feelings. Your feelings are going to change at any given moment throughout the day.
And I just want to add to that when I'm talking to people, I don't come to them with Jesus, because I don't know what their religious belief is. I'm here to talk to them about addiction. So what I will say is one thing, and I'll say, listen, I'm sure I didn't create the world. And you probably believe that you didn't either. So there was probably somebody that created it, and we could talk about, a watch or a television set. It didn't just jam together the parts. And when we think about our bodies and minds and the ability to think and the body to heal, somebody designed this and made it. It didn't just happen. And if we can agree on that, then we can agree to something. We don't have to agree what it was.
Well, that's where the disagreement starts, though, right, Jack?
The Big Bang Theory is
there's some, and again, people are allowed to have their theory. I wouldn't look at someone and say, how dare you think that?
Right.
I would say, listen, I respect your right to think that. To me, that's a little far-fetched because of the evidence I'm seeing of the human brain. The smartest computer in the world got put together, and you're going to tell me there wasn't a software designer.
Well, that's kind of,
Is that the intelligent design theory?
We may disagree on who, but don't tell me there was nobody.
Right. Well,
or something.
There you go. Somebody, something kind of thing.
So it wasn't us.
Sure.
So if we get them to agree on that, then we can agree that there would be in theory a higher power.
Well, that's where the Big Bang Theory comes into play. Right. It was the meteor and boom.
Where I like where Jack, you're taking it, and again, we'll move on from this and get more into addiction and recovery and how that actually helps somebody. But these discussions are absolutely necessary to have, and the reason we like having them, especially here on the Couch Live or even in any forum, the reason we promote this is so that you know that it's okay to disagree or have different views and opinions and still have a conversation, not to get upset about it, not let it ruin your world, your life, or your time. You know what I mean? It's like at the end of the day, listening is a hell of a lot more important to do than speaking. And so we don't like just bringing people on here that are going to have the exact same opinions of us. Trinity and I have some different opinions on some things, and that's kind of what makes it healthy. And we just had this discussion yesterday when we were talking to a new talent that's coming on this station when we were discussing who that person's co-host is going to be. We were talking about that. It's good to have some differing opinions on the same show and stuff like that. But getting back to what you said, here's what I like about one of the things that you mentioned, the intelligence part. I find it very easy to believe that if we can think it, it's very possible. And the only reason I tend to believe that is because there's been many, many things in life that have been considered impossible that have now become possible.
Oh, yeah.
Star Trek.
So it's, anything Star Trek, right? So it's one of those things that say that if this brain, because we don't each know how to really use it. We have all seen the science of how we're only using 6 to 8% of it, and that's the smartest of us, right? I'm probably using like 2% of it.
So that's Trinity and you.
Right. Yeah. Add us all three together, maybe. Right. But the point is that we've all seen how we feel so unique. Like, so our feeling or our thought is that we're unique.
Sure.
I'm different. Nobody understands. Nobody understands the pain I'm going through.
Yeah.
Nobody understands what I'm going through in my life. Maybe AA worked for you, but that's you. It's not me. So we're all full of these individual type of ideas. Yet, the inventions that are out there always seem to happen around the same time. In other words, there's somebody working on something here that's feeling like this is the next best invention ever, and there's probably somebody in Germany doing the exact same thing at the same time, and it's whoever comes to the table first, right? Whoever patents it first or gets the money behind it or knows the people that are going to put the money behind it. So we've seen that time and time again, whether it was flight, whether it was telegraph machines, whether it was telephones, whatever technology, electricity, whatever it was. So if we think of the deity, if we can think deity, if we think creator, well, we already see it in our life. Mom, dad get together, baby get born. So it's not like we're coming out of nowhere with that idea that it takes something to create the next thing. So it's very believable.
Yes, even in nature. With
in
plants
nature,
and
if
growth,
you look at everything that exists.
Yes.
So when Trinity, and the reason I'm saying this is because you both said it, but you both said it almost in opposition. So I'm kind of saying it the way I heard it from both of you. You said no proof. Well, the proof that I see is that everything we have come to believe is created from something else. There is nothing that's ever just been that have poofed. Nothing ever again that we've ever experienced just came out of nowhere. So, yes. Can the Big Bang Theory, I think there was a bang. I think there was a very big bang. That's easy to believe. However, it's hard to believe that it created my ability to think otherwise, to question it. Because when I look at dogs, cats, nothing else creates like the human. Nothing else does a lot of the stuff that the human does, even though they were here longer.
Yes.
Even though they've been able to, even though dinosaurs were more successful than humans as being able to live as a species for a very long period of time, they didn't develop past what they were. There was no development. There's so much that we do as humans that has to make you think that there's something else. Now, this is where the discussion happens. Is that something else alien? Is that something else God-ish? Or is that the same thing? And there's people that believe in all that. So I think it's really hard for me to accept nothing because of that. It's really hard to, because that's the one that has the no proof to me, the nothing. The nothing is what has no proof, because there's nothing in life that's ever been created from nothing. However, there's a lot that have been created by either something we could call foreign or alien, or something that we could be called God-ish. There are people that have a real high sense of belief in themselves, or God-ish type beliefs, or power that have created, like Rome. That have created villages and mountains and communities and governments. There's some really strong individuals that we've had in our history that are God-ish, if you look at just creating, just the word creating. So that's why, but I think you're both saying the same thing. Well, and so, like, if we bring it back to addiction and recovery, what we're really saying is just when you're sitting and you're just believing that I'm unique and I'm different and nobody understands, that's we all know in this room, at least, that's 100% untrue.
And Louis, I want to add, when I got when I went into recovery, and the counselor looked at me the first time. So my first experience with recovery, I had no clue what I was expecting, and he sat down. He was convincing me to go into rehab, and in 30 minutes he was telling me everything about myself that I thought were my deepest, darkest secrets. And I looked at him and I said, "How is this possible that you know this? This is impossible." And he looked at me and he laughed, and he didn't say it meanly. He said it lovingly. He said, "All addicts are the same. My dog wags its tail because it's a dog. Addicts behave in certain ways because they're addicts. 100%. But the most important thing is that everybody out there listening know that you are loved, you are valuable." This is something that, look, if you got a muscle ache, you wouldn't say, "I'm an idiot, I'm the worst guy alive because my muscle hurts." No, you get some relief for it. Yeah. And it's the same thing. There's help and hope for addiction. And, we are all the same because we're addicts. Yankee fans, Springsteen fans, baseball players, they have a lot of stuff in characteristics, in same characteristics.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I always say you're unique, just like everybody else. That's what I always tell
like everyone else. Yeah.
That's good.
And that really is the thing. And so I do like that we have these discussions, because I think a lot of times that holds somebody back from maybe going to a meeting or a treatment center or to a collection of people that may have a lot of value to them getting help in their addiction or
I see
problem,
it all the time.
but they're refusing to go based on this this conversation,
but
this argument.
It's misinformation. I think about when they used to think the world was square.
Right.
And that was their perception of the world.
Right.
Then they had new information.
Right.
They said to believe it, okay, now we think it's round. So, the problem is perspective and information. And I think that, we need to look at this from an addiction standpoint and make sure that people have the information that can help them and change their lives. Of course, I'd love to do that from a spiritual standpoint and say, okay, here's the information you need from a God standpoint. But from an addiction standpoint, here's the information you need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I see that all the time, what you're talking about. I know that I saw it in a multitude of different ways, and I can speak for myself that prior to being interjected in all this and being in this niche, had I been struggling with addiction issues myself back in the day, I would not have gone to meetings simply because of the God aspect.
Yeah, it took me a while.
I wouldn't have done it.
It took me a while.
And so I know that, like when I went, I was back when Tropical was around, or when we were there at Tropical, and I think it was like 1 or 2 days, I volunteered to kind of fill in as a tech or something because something happened and they needed me there. And I went, I had I call it a privilege to actually go into an NA meeting.
Right.
Because both those days, I didn't know the protocol, whatever. I figured, hey, if I'm asking you guys to do it, I'm going to do it with you.
Right.
And so I went in, I sat into it. Those were the only 2 I've ever been in my entire life. And I thought they were amazing. Like, I thought it was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. Because I was thinking from a philosophical standpoint, like, how cool is this that these people are coming together?
Right.
But it was a much different take from everybody that was in it. When we walked out, they were all, like, upset about it. They were griping about it and whining about it. And half of them just didn't like the religious aspect of it.
Right.
And I can speak now when I go to different treatment facilities and I do my groups. It's much different reaction from people when they hear I'm going to do the health and fitness group than when they hear I'm doing spirituality.
Right.
When I hear the health and fitness group, they're all automatically perking up. They're interested. They want to hear it. When I hear spirituality, you could see physically the break happen.
Right.
Everybody runs to their corners. You got the atheists or the non-believers who will run to the corner of, oh gosh, here we go. We have another God talk. And then you have the other group that says, well, I already have my God. You're not going to challenge my beliefs. And they run to that corner.
Right.
Very rarely do I have anybody that's sitting in the middle that says, I'm interested in what you have to say.
Right.
It's just boom, they run to their corners.
Right.
And so I see it all the time, and it keeps people from, I think, pursuing that because they miss, as you said, they're ignorant to the fact of it's not a God thing. It's a higher power. It's just something else bigger than yourself, basically.
Yeah.
It's like baseball fans. A Yankee fan, I'm a Yankee fan. You can never convince me to be a Red Sox fan, no matter what stats you show me, no matter better, and vice versa. But we can all agree we love baseball.
Right.
We can root for different teams.
Right.
But all agree we love baseball, and I think that's the thing with addiction. I mean, you can have your own individual feeling. You don't have to believe as I do. You don't have to believe as you do, and that shouldn't stop you from breaking free and getting the help you need and living this great life ever. I mean, it's for you.
It's also why you like the word faith rather than religion, because we all can agree that faith is necessary, just not
I
religion.
like the word God. And the biggest, challenge I have, again, it's a father-son, it's a relationship with God. I know God personally and individually, and that's what people, my mother said to me, I was 40 years old, I was getting married. She said, Jack, I want you to have kids. It was my second marriage. She said, not so I can be a grandmother, but so that you wouldn't miss the joy of having kids. And she was right. Now I have 3 kids. And I would say the same thing. It's, look, I don't need you to believe in the God I believe in, but I wouldn't want you to miss this and miss this relationship. It's not about religion, rules, or regulations. It's about a loving relationship. Some people don't have a loving father to relate to. And say, well, what's that? I don't know.
Right.
But the proof's in the pudding. Look, the only thing last thing I want to say about the God issue is God makes a challenge. He says, ask and you'll receive, knock and the door will be open, seek and you will find. And my challenge to people is, look, open up the book of John, ask God if he's real to reveal himself to you. Because if he doesn't, then he is a liar. You can prove Jesus Christ is a liar. He says, if you seek him, you'll find him. Right. If you ask, he'll respond. So if you go and open up the book of John and read, 5-10 minutes and say, God, if you're real, reveal yourself to me. And do that for 4 weeks, 5 days a week. I use those numbers arbitrarily. Come back and say, your God didn't show up.
Right.
He's a liar. I'd have a lot of respect to that. I've yet to meet one person to say that. I've met many who won't go look.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm afraid. You're not going to respect me because I'm afraid now.
I love you. I love you, and I respect you. But it's the same for addiction. I want to make this transition now to there's a way to recovery. There's ways, and there's different ways to recovery and addiction. We know that. And if you want help and recovery, it's there and available. Right. If you won't take it, that's on you.
That's on you.
But you won't be able to say you didn't know. And I believe there's more than one way. I believe there's 6 or 7 very feasible ways that will get you to the same place.
I agree. And I think those that will do that, and I think they should do that, by the way, Jack, I think that if you're feeling lost or vacant or that something's missing, even if you don't think this is what's missing. I think that's a perfect. What is it?
All right.
Sorry.
I heard a little kid's voice. Oh,
That's
look,
nice.
kid,
All right.
all right, well, that's missing. You know?
Something was missing.
Something was missing.
Not now.
All right, so getting back to Trinity, and again, you're listening to the Couch Live. We're about midway through. We got Jack Levine in here with us, author of My Attic, Your Attic. That's one of his books. Currently in the middle of writing.
Yep.
Keep the train rolling.
Keep the train rolling.
So that should be coming up.
I like it.
Again, we don't take any commercial breaks during this show because of good folks like Journey Pure, which is a substance abuse treatment center with treatment centers in Kentucky, Tennessee, Northern Florida, Mid-Florida, South Florida. So they're all over the place. Journey Pure. You can go to journeypure.org. .com and check them out. Or Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Centers, which is another great program, and they have one in Pennsylvania and they have one in South Florida as well. So, Trinity, you had made a mention. You spoke of the people that you saw when you were doing groups that went to the meetings and they were griping about it. You had a different take on that same meeting than they did. All right, so here's what I have to say about that. On that, when you were saying that, it reminds me a lot of the 25 plus years of my private practice. I got a lot of that. I got a lot of blowback from people going to meetings and saying, why did you make me go to these meetings, blah, 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 it's all religious, or whatever. What I found, Trinity, is that it's people's, whatever their reservation is, that's what you're going to hear at anything, not just AA meetings, but any meeting in general. So, like, if you go there and you think these people are just going to be whining and crying about their problem, then they're going to come back and say these people were just whining and crying about their problem.
Occam's broom?
Right. If they go there and think it's a religious meeting, then every time someone in that meeting says God or whatever, it's going to be like cringing.
Right.
And they're going to come back and that's all they heard. You know what I mean? For me, I thought they were all liars because I knew of one that was going to meetings and, I went with the person as their proof that they went to meetings. And then on the way home, they would drink a beer and tell me not to say anything. So for that, I thought.
Great role model.
Yeah. Love the guy still.
Perfect.
Well, he's passed away now, but that was my role model in meetings, right? And so when I was told to go to meetings, I'm just thinking they're all lying.
Right.
They're saying they're sober, but none of them are sober.
Right.
Because I thought that like when you were like automatically look different, because people in my life that I saw that when they got clean and sober, there was some differences to how they look, but some people get so torn up.
Right.
So I don't know. They may look a lot better than they did when they walked in, but some of them still look pretty bad. So I was judging them by their looks, by their comments, anything that would show me or tell me that they were lying.
Sure.
I would look in their eyes. Now I happen to be that guy that just looks messed up, and my eyes are always red. So now that I'm that guy, I'm thinking, oh, my God, there's a guy just like me probably judging me and saying, that dude's so high. Because people have always thought I'm high. I'm like, dude, you have no idea. I look like this is a lot better than how I looked when I was. So now I'm that guy. But the point is that whatever your reservations are, that's exactly what you're going to see. So the more open-minded you can go into this, and you made a reference, Jack, to like if your muscle hurt. So if your muscle hurt and you went to someone that you think can help you, and that's the key point right there. First of all, you have to speak to somebody who you value their opinion. Because if someone tells you, hey, this is how you should treat that muscle ache, but you have no value in their opinion or that person is someone that can help you, then it doesn't matter what they say.
And one ear, not the other.
All you heard is what, nonsense.
Yep.
But if you talk to somebody who you do value their opinion, as evidenced by all the people out there that get told, hey, call this treatment program, they believe the person, so they go to an inferior program, or they go to an inferior this or inferior that, or inferior because a friend of a friend of a friend went.
Sure.
Right.
Instead of like, is it the right fit for you, though?
Right.
Did you investigate them for you, for your problem, for your needs?
And that's a problem in the addiction community that many times when people are seeking help, the voice that speaks the loudest is the voice they hear.
Right.
The AA guy screaming, or the rehab, or the recovery, or the teen challenge, and all of these are wonderful programs in their own place and fitting. But it's whoever has the loudest voice that gets the attention.
Yeah, any program can help you, and any place can help you, but how receptive are you? And then fit. Fit is important. So you said you were born Jewish.
Right.
Something didn't fit for you.
Well, it does now. I mean, I rejected it I
So what wasn't fitting?
I rejected all organized religion. I didn't like to be told what to do. I was a lot like you.
Yeah.
But now I wish I wish I would have gone to Hebrew school. I've gone back and studied and learned because it's fascinating.
Right.
But I didn't. But Louis, we talk about everyone can help. This is almost addiction's almost like religion in that look you could go to a bad place, a wrong place.
Right.
You could be mistreated and not help. You can go to people who are greedy and only want your money.
Right.
It happens in every industry.
Every industry.
And I know you're out there, and Now Matters More is out there educating and telling people, hey, there are places we've checked out that we know are good. We know the owners. We know the people. You're good there. And there are other places, but you need to be sure, because that's the same argument I'm making with religion, right? You got misinformation. You went to the wrong place. That wasn't the real deal. Here's the real deal, father-son relationship. That can happen in addiction, so we need to make sure that people know. Now, what do people do if they don't have someone whose opinion they value?
Right.
I'm asking. I mean, now a guy's walking around there, a girl, she realizes she's got a problem. She can't talk to her parents. She hasn't told her friends, or they know, but they're not talking. And now she'd really like to reach out. Do I go online and look? I mean, what do you
Well, that's the
suggest
problem.
they do?
That's the problem, that online is just full of lies. You know what I mean? Online, anybody can look good online.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Anybody can put money up for a great website, fake pictures, stock photos, whatever it takes. I mean, it's really good to know somebody that's probably either gone through it, or somebody, like you said, knows ownership, knows clinical directors, knows medical directors, knows the philosophy.
Yes.
There's obviously programs that I like for different reasons. Like I'm not going to send the female with a lot of trauma issues to the same place right now that I'll send the last person you called me about.
Yep.
That person right there went one direction.
Yes.
But if you called me with a female with trauma issues, I wouldn't send that person to the same direction. There's a place that I have in my mind that I would send that person. Veteran, for instance, there's a specific place that I would put a veteran. An 18-year-old.
Yes.
So there's all kinds of little things that you think about. Now, the reason I asked you is why did you reject it, or what was the rejection? Was that there's individuals right now that feel like they can't move forward. Or not that they don't think they can move forward. There is a block. They don't know there's a block in their growth. They may have 3 months clean, 6 months clean, a year clean. But there's still something, Jack. There's still something that's not.
Yep.
They're not feeling fulfilled. I get that a lot. There's people like with a year in, and they say, "Look, I've done counseling, I've done therapy. I'm just not feeling fulfilled." And I got a feeling that you have some conversation about that.
Well, you say they got counseling and therapy.
Right.
For me, and my big thing is that when people go into rehab, they need to come out understanding why they did drugs. For real, from an analytical, a psychological standpoint. Of course, it was stuff that happened in childhood. What it was for them individually, I don't know. I experienced addiction behavior long before I ever picked up drugs.
Right.
And it was through counseling I got to see that. I would have never known. I would have told you, I do drugs because they make me feel good, or I like the effect. That was a load of crap. I knew it, but I didn't know why I did them. And in counseling, I found out. Then I found out that, look, it wasn't such a big deal. My reason why, and of course, the equation we use is, as a kid, as a baby, you're in diapers. You're using a tricycle training wheels. When you grow up, you don't need that anymore. Sometimes our minds create defense mechanisms for us as kids that we forgot to put off as adults, or we didn't know. And stuff that helped us as a little kid doesn't help us anymore. So now we can see that and recognize it. We can say, thank you for helping me as a little kid, but I don't need that anymore. Sometimes it's other stuff. But I think that's the value and key to get to that. Once you get to that information, it's your choice what you're going to do with it or not.
Right.
And I think once you know that, you can go and be the person who you want to be. There are some people who say, look, this was a big thing. It wasn't a little thing. It's a big thing, and it takes more. But I think fulfillment comes from living your purpose.
Right.
When you don't feel like you're living life for the purpose you're created. And by the way, my prayer to God is always, can you mix my passion with my purpose?
Yeah.
I'd love to be excited. I mean, there are people who are working in jobs they hate.
You'll never work again.
It's the truth. So when you feel you're alive, you have a purpose, whatever it is, then you're not worried about the calendar, time's going by so fast. No, it's not. I'm loving it. I'm loving life. But that comes from peace, and it comes from inside, and that's why I think counseling and therapy are such great tools to get us there.
Right.
I've gone to counseling 3 times in my life since rehab for stuff, a few times to get stuff clarity.
Right.
Great thing. I think it's invaluable.
I have to appear to disagree with you on one point that you made, but I'm not disagreeing with you.
By the way, feel free to disagree with me on all my points.
Oh, no, I know. No, I know. We're good like that. We're good like, yeah. No. I'm going to say it's going to sound like that, but I'm not. But I'm disagreeing with a part the way it sounded to me.
Okay.
All right. So when you say the addict or the user didn't use because they liked it, here's why I say that's not crap. Number one, to an ignorant mind or to a mind that's not searching deeper, or to someone who's not ready to handle what they have to deal with. It's 100% truth. They're using because they like it initially. Because nobody uses something initially because they don't like it.
Right.
Because the only reason addiction even exists is because you did it habitually a little bit, right? A lot of people try different things, and then they like it or don't like it. The liking it is what allows you to do it again. Now, here's the part that I say I'm not disagreeing. Sometimes you like things, but you don't really know why you like them. The liking could be that it tapped into a very deep part of fulfillment within you that helped you escape a feeling that you didn't know you were having, a thought about yourself. You didn't know you were insecure. You weren't ready to handle that you were insecure. But for some reason, you felt really good on the drug. You just say, I feel good. But if we further define feeling good, it was probably, I felt powerful. I felt strong. And you didn't know that you were actually feeling weak and insecure before, which is what made the powerful and strong feel so damn good. You know what I mean? So that's the part that I'm not really disagreeing with you. What I'm disagreeing is it's not as simple. Nobody just hear what he just said and grab it simplistic that you didn't like it. Because I remember when a high school counselor, and I wasn't ready to hear your whole sentence, right? And that's why it hit me. There was a high school counselor that had an opportunity at least bonding with me. It was the only counselor I've ever saw in my life. He had 5 minutes probably to get something through to me. They had caught me smoking, and they caught me on video, and they were going to bring my mom in to show her this video of me smoking pot. Now, with him, I had no problem admitting I was smoking pot, but I knew damn well that if they bring my mom in, I'm going to tell her, no, I didn't. I knew that I was going to lie, and she'd believe me. You know, she's not going to believe you. So he calls me in, and he looks at me, and he thought he was being smart, and he goes, why do you even smoke pot? And to me, that sounded like the stupidest question on the planet. Because all I could think of, and this is what I answered, is, have you ever tried it?
Yeah.
Because to me, it was like, because I like it, you fool.
Right.
There was no, in other words, I wasn't yet, maybe I was already addicted, but I wasn't deep within any addiction. I wasn't suffering any consequences of addiction. I wasn't in a mind space where I was ready to see, you know, am I insecure? You know, when I'm 14, 15 years old, you think I'm thinking about insecurities and fears? No, man, I'm having a damn good time. Yeah. I'm doing what a lot of other people are doing, only I'm the one funding the madness. And I like everything that's doing for me. I like the money. I like the women. I like the power. I like the control. I like it. So to me, it was a really dumb question of why I was doing it. Now, I get it now that he was somewhere else and when he said, why you're doing it, than the way I interpreted it.
Sure.
But he was unable to take my response. You know what? So here's what I'm going to say. Yes, initially we all liked what we did.
Loved it.
You know, love.
Loved it.
But that's exactly when my wife says, you know, you joke around a lot about drugs, and I don't never really see you. And Dana has told me this many times. She goes, I never really see you do the old, I guess what she interprets as prevention work with my kids. Because you never sit there and tell them how drugs are bad and what they're going to do to them, because it's not my style. I said, I tell them drugs are going to they're absolutely awesome for why you use them. If you want to escape your life, if you want to ignore every responsibility you have, if you want to put off some heavy responsibility that you have today until tomorrow, if you want to lie, if you want everybody to shut the hell up, if you don't want to hear another friggin' word, if you don't want to feel guilty, if you don't want to feel shame, then drugs absolutely are awesome for that. The problem is it's not sustainable. It's going to work temporarily, and you never know how long. Yeah, you don't know how long it's going to last, and you don't know what it's going to cost you. But it's almost like paying the devil for the sake of sounding religious, right? It's like once you've made that deal, what happens if you love it? Because that's what happened to me. As soon as I tried pot, I fell in love with it from moment one. It created everything, like I said, Jack. Not only did I like the feeling, but whatever insecurities or whatever fears or whatever the deeper rooted stuff was, it resolved that in the quick moment. Excellent. And it made me feel awesome. And then so that's what alcohol did. That's what pot did. That's what cocaine did. And, fighting, that's what aggression did. That's what speeding did, driving really fast and reckless. That's what riding a motorcycle real crazy did. That's what everything that was risky that I did in those age groups. That's what holding a gun and shooting it did. All those things did the exact same thing. Power, control, Don't feel weak. Don't feel insecure. Now, did I know that was at the root? And if I would resolve that I would no longer crave these things? No, because at that moment, I really liked the gun. I really liked pot. And there was so much other to it that I loved. Now, here's the thing, and this is the way I'll close this one little piece up, is at the end of it, when we do get clean and sober, there's a reason we get clean and sober a lot of times, and when we're ready. You know, like say, addicts have to be ready. You don't have, first of all, hitting rock bottom, that's a load of crap. You don't have to hit a rock bottom. Here's what has to happen. You have to just be aware that all those things that I just mentioned that were really good, that wasn't all there anymore, yet the love for the item was still there. I still loved pot. I still loved cocaine. I still loved alcohol. I still loved the dealing. I still loved the criminal activity. I still loved the speeding. I still loved all that. What I didn't love, there was a lot of consequences that came with it that I didn't love, and I could no longer disconnect what I loved from all the negative consequences that kept happening, even though I didn't really have big consequences, but internally, it just wasn't enough anymore. Like what usually happens is you keep risking, right? You're still risking. Your risk gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. As you get older, you have more responsibilities. You have more things that you're risking. You know, you're risking now a wife. Now you're risking kids. Now you're risking an employment. Now you're risking a career. But the high is constant. And if anything, it goes lower. So this right here, this good feeling I was having wasn't going up at the same rate that the good part was. And when you acknowledge that to yourself, you know, I was lucky enough to sit back and say, I'm going to take a break. I didn't make a commitment initially to be clean for the rest of my life. I said, I'm going to take a break because I love science, Trinity. Like you said, I love proof.
Right.
And what I saw, there was proof that I was risking more than I was getting. And I'm not a gambler.
Right.
You know, I'm the house. When I had, you know, there's people out there that know I had the craps table. I had the poker. I had the house. You come and you play at my house, I'll make the money. I'm not going to gamble at your house. When I went to Vegas, I knew I was losing. That was expenditures, right?
Yep.
So anyway, I wanted to say that because the like is real important. If you're out there and you still like it, and you're being honest with yourself, because that's the key. Are you being honest with yourself that you still like it? Well, then there's nothing for you. You know,
Nothing
you're not
now.
ready. Yeah, you're not ready for this conversation yet. But as long as you're being honest with yourself, that you're still liking it.
But let's, you know,
and all that comes with it.
And what I do many times when I sit with people, you know, young people or old who are in the height of their addiction, I'll say, listen, just let me tell you what's going to happen. I get you're not ready, but let me tell you, and I'll show them what the road looks like, and then hopefully they'll start to see as one or two of the three things come true. They'll say, well, maybe he was right about all of it, and they'll come true. But you were right. I was talking from the other side perspective, a recovery perspective. You know, but we did love it. We loved it. But here's what happened to me, and probably what's happened to a lot of people who are using. It wasn't great. It was great for a year. Right. But then it sucked. Yeah. Cocaine sucked after a while. It became the enemy very quickly. Percocets, which I loved for years, became the enemy. I mean, it changed. The high wasn't the same. Right. It wasn't worth it. It wasn't the same. Right. It was great. And pot, you know, it was great, all great for a while. Right. But it did catch up. It did change. Right. And, you know, it wasn't about, oh, this makes me feel great. Quite the opposite. It's, I have to do this now just to function.
So you knew you had to do it.
I knew I had to do it. I knew I had an addiction and a problem. I don't want to admit it, but everybody knows. Once you get past that point, I'll just call it, you know, first time where you're in love with the drug. But then you start to realize, first of all, it owns you. You have to have it.
I think there's certain drugs that allow you to know that you have to have it, and certain drugs that don't. Like pot's a very wise drug. You know, it's because of its nature. It doesn't let you know because it's psychological in nature. So it has you completely convinced that you don't need it. Yet you talk negatively about it, or you try to take it away from somebody, and they'll become irate like you're just talking smack about their grandmother. But with crack, regular cocaine, or heroin, or any opiate, you know damn well, or meth, you know damn well it owns you. Because every time you try to walk away from it or don't do it, it tells you, where the hell do you think you're going?
Right back here.
Trinity, what do you think about this? You've been silent a while.
I was just listening.
I know
it's not that he was silent. We didn't let him talk
we
for
didn't.
a while.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's be honest.
I was listening.
That's the real thing.
Exactly.
Sure. There was something that Jack said earlier that I just wanted to touch on when you were talking about peace and happiness and fulfillment, things of that nature. And I can speak not only for myself, but also something that I try to teach when in groups and whatever, and that is there's a phrase I usually like to say, and that is happiness is much closer to acceptance than it is to pleasure. And I think that's the problem. Is so many people associate pleasure with happiness, and the problem is pleasure doesn't last. You're going to constantly chase that. It's like a dog chasing its tail. Towards acceptance, acceptance is a mindset, and that's where you give your peace and fulfillment. Like I know one of my problems, with all my anger issues and things of that nature. Somebody would have came to me and said that I didn't have peacefulness or I needed peace in my life. I probably would have fought them to prove how peaceful I was. You know what I mean? Like I would have beat them up to prove how peaceful. But it wasn't until I got it. Then that's what I because people always ask me like what it was, and the word I always come to is just peace. Like I finally found peace in my life where I'm just good, and it's not because things in my life are so great. It's because I've learned to just accept it.
Right.
Accept it for what it is, not what you want it to be. And so I think a lot of times that's where the fulfillment comes in. Is people are always looking for fulfillment outside of themselves, and it's not.
Amen.
And there's a story I always tell. It was a gentleman in one of the groups. I like to go around oftentimes and ask everybody what makes you happy, and then they'll list off the standard list of friends, family, kids, things of that nature.
Right.
If it's a younger group, there's always one kid in the back, weed, but
Xbox.
Yeah. The point is, I always ask everybody, and I tell them that that's all pleasure, and then they ask me what makes me happy, and I say I just am. And then we start to talk about it. And there was one gentleman that was in Tropical, actually, who had probably the greatest moment with us in the group. And that was, he painted this picture of happiness to him. It was his parents owned a house in like one of the Carolinas by a lake. And he said happiness to him was sitting on the front porch by the lake at the house and kind of just relaxing. He said that was happiness to him. I said, what if I told you, though, that it wasn't all the stuff around you that caused you happiness? It was the fact that you were content in that moment. Because the house could have been bigger, the temperature could have been different, you could have more money in your bank account, but the problem was you weren't thinking about any of that stuff.
Right.
You were just good. And that's peace, that's happiness. It's not this pleasure, this oh my God, I'm so great right now. No, it's more like in the middle. It's more of a I'm just good. And the problem is we everybody in the world has those moments every day of their lives, but we don't ever pay attention to it. We always focus all of our time on getting our next fix of pleasure or avoiding the next bout of pain. But it could be in the morning time, if you're having your coffee or something, or it could be, you take showers, or it could be on the toilet. I don't care. Yeah. But there's a moment to where you're just, I'm good. I'm not really happy. I'm not really upset. I'm all right. I'm not really, that's peace.
It's an appreciation for life.
Yes.
What I know about Buddhism is and it's a philosophy about living in the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
It's about being in the moment,
Right.
not concerned about the past or the future. And that's a godlike philosophy as well. Life is a gift. It's a present. I always use the example, if I took you to Disney and I drop you, or any place you wanted to be, the best place in the world, and I said, the park's closing in an hour.
Right.
You could either say, I can't, you son of a, can I say it?
Yeah,
it's
this is internet
man.
radio.
Son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. I can't believe you took me to the park, and I've only got an hour here.
Right.
Or you can say, excellent, an hour, let me go. I want to ride all the rides I can in an hour.
Right.
That's your life.
Right.
It depends how you choose to look at it. I agree 100% with the
100%.
philosophy of living in the moment, being grateful for what we have. This is the only moment we have, and we're here to enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Trinity, because I 100% agree as well. I think that happiness for me is I had somebody a few years back be like, you don't look happy. Like, just trying to just
Sure.
get in my head. For some reason, I don't know why this person was doing it, but I keep on saying, that's just my face. Because let me tell you something, I'm happy.
Sure.
I'm really happy. I don't walk around smiling. I do walk around with an angry face a lot. That's just my
Sure.
my resting face.
Me too.
I got a resting bitch face. Here, see, we said bitch in the same, within
Now I
1
feel
minute.
better, right.
No,
Hey,
I just
wait,
had to. You said it, now I had to say it.
Bitch.
There you go. Now we all said it.
I had to
That's a
get that out
trifecta.
there.
But I don't know why the person was saying it, but I guess what I was saying to that person was, you don't understand. I just am happy about everything. Even when I get upset and frustrated or nervous or anxious or anything, the fact that I'm feeling is something, I guess, there's just real early on, one of the techniques that I used to be content, because I felt so unhappy, because I wasn't depressed, but I was unhappy, was I imagined myself if I would have went to prison for what I should have went to prison for. And I was facing a lot of time at one time. And so I wanted... The life would have took a complete different turn if I would have had to take responsibility for some of the things that I did. And, it would have been a very different life, right? So I said, if I would have went to prison, if I would have been on death row and got off and walked out from death row, from thinking life is over, I'm in prison for 20 years, and come out, what would it smell like? What would the temperature feel like? Would I be as frustrated that it's hot right now? Would I be frustrated that it doesn't smell the way I want it to smell? Would I be complaining that it's Florida? Because that's what I did when I first got here. There was a lot of complaining about how hot it was, the swamp. I thought it was ugly. I was like, this is nothing like what they sell.
It is hot,
like
though.
the beaches are. But then you go in, and like most of Florida is really and flat and nothing, right? That's the way I looked at it.
Woods.
Yeah, woods. I liked mountains, snow. I was used to the West Coast, blah, 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 whatever. So I was complaining a lot, but I worked really hard on embracing life as if I just got off death row. Embrace life like you just got off death row. I ended up only buying convertibles. Every car since then has been either convertible or has been a sunroof because I hated the sun, I hated the heat. And I learned I'm going to embrace this. I'm going to embrace it. And you know, it really worked for me. So when I say I'm happy of all of that because I'm not on death row.
Sure.
I have the ability to be of service to other people, which is an incredibly awesome thing. And yeah, all the cliche things as well. But my family doesn't make me happy. The people around me don't make me happy. None of that. What makes me happy is me allowing everything to be exactly what it is without me having to control it and influence it. That's what makes me happy. I don't have to control Jack, and I accept that all control Jack. I don't have to control Jack, but I can accept that all of you are in control of your own thing, and you're allowing me to be part of the experience with you. And so I'm just very grateful, and so that's what makes me happy. The gratitude truly makes you happy.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I agree.
You know,
no matter what you're focused that gratitude on. That's
all right,
what it's
so
about.
so that's our hour. So Jack, we got to do some closing things here. So why don't you close us up a little bit by letting us know, and this is not like at the end of a meeting, you know, close us out. But any last words or any things that you want to make sure to get out there before we shut this down?
Yeah, I just go to that gratitude thing. It's about being alive. It's like, look, in sports, the best hitters make out sometimes. They make an error. They lose a game. We don't judge them by one at bat or one game. We judge them by a season and not one incident. And your life is going to be judged by your life, not one incident. This will be a footnote. And it's just a pleasure. Anything we can do to help, like I said, we'll make the book available on your website.
Right.
Read the book. It will tell you the specific ways to recovery, and hopefully you'll want to choose one of them. It will share with you some insight and story, and it's a very quick read. I think people will enjoy it.
Right on. Thank you. Any birthdays or anything that you're aware of that you want to say happy birthday to?
My son Ricky is. My wife's been sober 33 years. My son Ricky's been sober 6 years up in Virginia, and we're just very grateful for all that.
Beautiful.
Grateful for what God has done in their lives and them.
Trinity, any birthdays or anything we have to?
United States Marine Corps' birthday, wasn't it?
All right.
So we got Veterans Day tomorrow.
And it's Veterans Day.
Yes.
Yep.
Special Veterans Day thing.
They say thank you for your service, but I think the line should be thank you for my freedom.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird that you just said that because I just said thank you to somebody that had a post of them in a uniform, and I just simply said thank you this time.
Right.
Just thank you. And
Yeah.
I don't even know what to put behind it other than just thanks.
Yep.
Glad you did it because I wasn't going to. So
Right.
I'm glad there's people out there that will do it.
Yeah, or I just didn't for whatever reason, and there's a lot of people that just didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so for those that did and do, we sincerely thank you. Now, here's the other thing. If you're a veteran out there, this is a good time to get the help you need because you might not have already gotten it, whether through the VA or through other things, but you may have some benefits that you think that you have to go through the VA, and they're the only source for you. Well, you know what? There's a lot of people out there like us at the Now Matters More program, or Now Matters More Foundation, that want to help you. We want to know what is it that we can do to better help you and serve you because you've done so much for us. And so it means a lot to me. Thank you to my father, Command Sergeant Major Delgado, retired. He knows who he is to me. My father is an amazing man. That's how he came to this country, that he got drafted, went to Vietnam for 2 tours. And we decided to stay. And so my brother, who was in the Air Force, so I have 2 veterans within my home, and I just didn't. Even though I was the one that was going to, I just didn't. And that's a story for another day of why I didn't.
Right.
But anyway, I think that's all for that, right? No more birthdays or anything like that you can think
Not
of?
that I can think of at the moment.
Okay, because I do think that's all for that. All right, so from all of us here, adios amigos, it's time for a taco. Goodbye.